What's up, everybody? It is June 15th, 2019, 7:24 p.m., and we have some not so good news right now. 7.4 major earthquake, very shallow, just northeast of New Zealand. We've been talking about this area, as many other earthquake channels have been talking about this and the possibility of a tsunami. This is the first time since I've been on YouTube that I've actually seen this symbol as a tsunami threat after a major quake. I'm not sure as of right now if there is a tsunami. The threat is there. In fact, let's get off. We'll go on display capture now. Hopefully you all can hear me. I don't have my tablet out right now. In fact, I'm going to jump on my phone and make sure the chat's working. Hey guys, can I get a positive on if you can hear me or not? Let's start there, because this is not good. If this is a tsunami, they've been predicting this for a few months now. Thank you, Mass Destruction. Good to hear that. All right. So yeah, guys, check this out. 7.4. 35 kilometers in depth. That's what, give or take, 19, 20 miles deep. Major earthquake. The tsunami report, it's saying it's 104 kilometers northeast of La Esperance Rock, New Zealand. Here is New Zealand, the north part of New Zealand. Here's the south part. And this thing is right on the border. Now, I have these already pulled up here. The threat is there, or at least it was when I started the... Yep, it's still there. So we actually have a legit tsunami threat going on right now. Magnitude 7.4, event depth, they're saying 6 miles on this chart. 6 miles deep. When you get a quake of this size, that shallow, that is what causes tsunamis, guys. So this very well could be that situation that we are seeing as we speak right now. The main magnitudes they're showing are 7.4. It showed up as a 7.4 on my phone. There was no changing with that, and the depth is all saying 6 miles. I wish I had a live webcam that we could check out in New Zealand, but let me see who's in here right now. Sound the trumpet. Oh, God, I hope not. Let's see. All right, so right now, I'm sure if anyone's in New Zealand, they're not jumping online to fill out this form right now, but we've got 4 people reporting having felt this with the tsunami warning involved. This other website here is showing 7.2 Kermadec Islands in New Zealand, and the depth is 10 kilometers, 178.02 degrees west, and the latitude is 30.84. This was at 22:54 UTC time, 29 minutes ago. And now we're up to still 4. Again, not many people live in the ocean, so they're probably more worried about what's going to happen to New Zealand right now. And, oh man, I hope this is not what I think it's going to be. And we've said this in many videos that they were predicting a tsunami to happen in New Zealand for the last 3 months now. We've had some big quakes underneath Australia. We've obviously had major quakes by Fiji, New Caledonia. The west coast of the Pacific has been rocked constantly over the last, basically forever, but more in particular, Papua New Guinea with those major quakes there. So, I mean, I guess in a way it was just a matter of time before something like this happened. I'm still trying to figure out how to exactly find out if there is a tsunami or not. I guess we could check. We'll go to spaghettimodels.com real quick and check the buoys out. That's always something you want to look at when you see these major quakes. And thank you, Mike's Weather Page, for supporting us with this info here. Let's see what these buoys picked up as of right now. And there you go. The one right near it is going off, and that is a tsunami buoy, if I'm not mistaken. I'll make sure And it sure is. That is a tsunami buoy. We can click on it. We can get some event details on it. Let's see if I can get it to... These things are a pain sometimes to get. There we go. All right, so here's showing that jolt. How do I do this? I'm sorry, guys. We'll get there. Any information you guys have on this as well, feel free to talk about it in the chat. I don't have my tablet open, so it's very hard to read the chats at this point. Could be some storms in New Jersey for the Father's Day barbecue. Yeah, that's very true. But with that said, we are talking about a major earthquake right now with a possible tsunami. And I want to get back to that page I was at with the buoys, and we can zoom out. We'll click on it, and it's showing the drop in water. So it was during a low period of the tide at the time. You could see these waves go up and down on a daily basis. These aren't waves. Don't. I'll take that back. They're not waves. It's just the daily changes in the water. This happens all day, throughout the day. It rises, it drops. It rises, it drops. But it certainly registered and recognized this event. And when you click on event details, unless they know for a fact that there's a tsunami actually or a wave moving, there's not really much you can do. This is the actual buoy that's going off. This is an actual picture of it. This is station... Where's the name of it? Station 51426 right here, southeast Tonga. Did I click the right one? Maybe not. No, I did. So yeah, so Tonga got hit with a big quake earlier today, and now this major one. And man, oh man, let's hope there's no tsunami. In fact, let's just see if we can just Google it. Alright, so right now, list of tsunamis affecting New Zealand. This just okay, here we go. Let's read some of these tweets. We are assessing whether the magnitude 7.4 earthquake poses any tsunami threat to New Zealand. If a tsunami has been generated, it is not likely to arrive in New Zealand for at least 2 hours. Okay, so even though the quake was, how far away was it from the actual... This is, okay, so this is 200 miles. Let's actually see that. Let's mark that down on Google Earth and see exactly how far away this is from New Zealand. Oh, I already have it there. What do you know? What do you know? We were prepared. Let's measure this and see, just for... I would say the wave would be like, it would start hitting this area. So we'll go to like the closest point. It's about 512 miles away. So it takes a tsunami, if there is one, about 2 hours from the epicenter and the strike of the quake to reach the closest point. So if it takes 2 hours to cross over a 500-mile area, and this is a wave... It would be a wave in every direction, if I'm not mistaken, right? Wouldn't it go north as well? And all around. I mean, this was right in the middle of the ocean, right on the fault line. So this wave is going to be going in every direction. So if it's a 2-hour wait to get to this part of New Zealand, you would probably say 3 to 4 hours before it got towards Fiji. It would hit Tonga before that. It would possibly reach Cook's Island. I mean, this thing could shake up the entire South Pacific Ocean for all we know. Again, that is something for the major earthquake researchers. They will know a lot about this, and I'm sure they are online right now. So whoever's on my channel, I very much appreciate it. But if you want exact details and actual knowledge about this type of stuff, you know exactly where to go. I'm here to share the news with you, and man, this is not good. This is not good at all. 7.4, one is saying 7.2. I guess it doesn't matter at this point, because when you see the buoy data and the actual purple, I've never seen the symbol before. I've never seen the actual purple tsunami symbol, which is a threat. The yellow means watch, orange is advisory, and then the red is warning. So right now it's at threat zone. I'll hit refresh again. And there we go. It's back to just an earthquake. So there's possibility that this is not a tsunami. We do not want a tsunami. But the thing is, guys, is we've been talking, whenever there's an earthquake in this area, I've been mentioning that they are like preparing and predicting and talking about how New Zealand is due for a tsunami. Now, I mean, I might sound a little ignorant by saying, why are they saying that? Are they expecting it? Like, is it something with the earthquakes going on in this area that in particular New Zealand was picked out to be hit by a tsunami in the near future? I'm not exactly sure where that came from, besides the fact that the earthquakes in this area are just massive. And besides that information, I don't know why it would be New Zealand, but sure enough, I mean, there you have it. 7.4 at 6 miles in depth, right in the middle of the ocean, about 500 miles to the northeast of New Zealand, the top part of New Zealand. Let me read some of these comments here. If you guys have any information here, I see 3 7.4 quakes. Ron, that might be because that happens often. Sometimes you'll see a quake and it'll have like 3 dots in like the same area, and you can click all 3, and maybe one will be a minute later, and then eventually it all comes into one quake. That's what I think the situation is. The unfortunate thing about earthquakes is that there's no warning. There's no warning really with the earthquakes, except for, earthquake forecasting. There are channels out there that do that. What is SIG? It says 405. The SIG, when it comes to earthquakes, that's a good question. Yeah, don't think I typed it in right. It's significant. It means significant. It was a significant earthquake. Have an earthquake on my shore side. Yeah, Mark Ellie. Man, earthquakes have been really at it. Like, yes, they have. I'm sorry I'm looking at the chat this way, guys. I'm trying to keep you on the screen here. I mean, when things like this happen, we really have only so many sources we can look at. And it's kind of repeat info. So what I'm basically doing is I went live just so we can kind of follow the different tweets and information and articles that pop up shortly after things like this happen. And we can get rid of this tab here, and I'll refresh this. We'll see if we can get any more info on exactly what's going on right now. Has a tsunami hit New Zealand? That just popped up. So New Zealand has experienced about 10 tsunamis higher than 5 meters since 1840. Some were caused by distant earthquakes. I'm not sure if 500 miles is distant, but I mean 500 miles is quite a hike, and it would take, like they said, 2 hours to reach that northern part of New Zealand. But I don't think that's distant. That's fairly close. I mean, you look at the chart, and that's not too far away. I mean, 500 miles when it comes to the geography of Earth is not far at all. I mean, our country alone is about give or take 3,000 miles. So this is 500 miles away, 511 right along the trench line too. So it is right on this fault line. And if we can actually look at some stats here, we'll check out the last 7 days of magnitudes 4.5 and higher. And you can see over the last week, we've had a bunch of quakes 4.5 or higher following this this fault line here. So there has been some pressure leading up to this quake. In fact, yeah, someone pointed out that there was a Tonga quake today. This was on the 13th. This one here was on the 14th, the day after. And this one was on the 11th. So we had 11, 14th, 15th, then today. These are the ones that are closest to the big one. Now they have officially dropped it to a 7.2. So it went from a 7.4 to a 7.2. We'll re-click the tsunami information bar, and hopefully this is right, and it's saying that this is just a quake and not a tsunami. But again, unless there's like boats in the water or anything like that, I don't understand how. I'm not sure how they tell if the wave is making its way towards New Zealand unless there are more buoys. There's not. It's this one buoy, and then there's New Zealand, and then there's two more tsunami buoys after that. Now, if I take this just to tsunami buoys, you could tell when you back out of here, not every buoy in the ocean is made for tsunami registering. A lot of these are in red. That means they haven't reported data within the last 8 hours. The yellow ones mean they have been reported and they are functioning. So you can change it just to the tsunami buoys. But whether or not we do that, there's still nothing in between this buoy and New Zealand until you get to the southern end of New Zealand underneath Australia. So this is the only buoy registering data right now, and it's still showing that. It is actually dropping a little low. So this jolt was right here, where you see this red line. That's where where it picked up the quake. And we did check the event details, but we'll look again to see if anything changed at all. And there you have it right there. There was a big shake right here. This is exactly when it happened. 15-second. So it was about... It had to have been shaking for more than 15 seconds if this was a 7.4 or a 7.2. And this is the actual, so this section right here is this, what you're looking at here. So you can see the jolt here, and then it started leveling out. So this was a 15-second period. The water went from 5,200... Yeah, 5,522.5 meters down to not much of a difference. I mean, it's 0.4 meters in a drop, but then jolted up to about not even a meter above that. So I'm still learning how to read these water charts clearly. But, all right, let's see what you guys are saying. True Helper, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. I would have given you a heads up on this, but it just happened out of nowhere, so I jumped on. But I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Let's see what I missed here. 7.4. Wow. Yeah, wow's right. And right near New Zealand. Hello, Type X. How are you? Good to see you, my love. There you are, buddy. How's it going? The adjoining deed is here. Is this still your new channel, by the way? Or did you just change your thumbnail? Let me refresh this and see what happened as far as... Alright, so now we got 8 people. So, I mean, besides the islands around, we'll go back to Google Earth here, because Google Earth gives us a much better idea of what's around these areas. So you can see here there are little islands around where this happened. We got Chessman Islands here. I'm not sure if these are populated or not. It doesn't look like they are. These are very, very small islands. You can see here basically just like the tips of mountains sticking out of the ocean. And we'll back out here again. Again, this was about 511 miles from the epicenter to the closest point of New Zealand, unless there is a closer point. Maybe this might be closer. Let's check it out, actually. So epicenter to here, 579, 560, 537, 545, 508. So this would be the closest point if there was a wave, which as of right now might not be the case. Hopefully it's not the case. With these islands, though, it's about 120 miles away. So if they said it would take 2 hours for the wave to hit New Zealand, it would be probably about a half hour for it to hit here, which means this probably would have already been hit. And if it hasn't, that's probably why they've canceled that warning. And then we have Tonga up here, which is just a little further away than the most closest point of North Island of New Zealand. This is the Bay of Plenty, they call it. and then Hauraki Gulf. I think that's how you say it. Hauraki Gulf. But yeah, guys, we've been talking about this, and I've always been like kind of confused about why they're thinking or why they were talking about New Zealand specifically. I'm sure I can do a little bit of research and find out why they thought or they still think New Zealand's going to get hit by a tsunami. For all we know, this still could be a wave. I mean, just because they changed this icon that we were looking at to that green marker, marking it as just a earthquake. If it's 2 hours, I mean, how else would you know? Unless I guess they're using that island to the north as a source point, because the wave would go in every direction. The wave wouldn't just go south. It would be like a circle, and it would continue. It would be like dropping a stone in a calm lake. The wave would trickle out in a circle formation. And there's many graphics out there. There's videos. You can literally type in on YouTube tsunami animation, and they'll show you. A specific one I watched was a big earthquake that took place, or if it took place by Alaska, how it would affect the U.S. And the wave just came out like in waves like this, and it made its way all the way down. And then once it hit land down here, it reflected back and started coming back over Hawaii. So it's not just that these waves move in one direction. They'll hit the coast and then bounce back and start going the other direction again, almost causing like a wave pool. If you're in a circle pool with a couple friends and you all start jumping up and down, the waves start, crashing up and down and spiking up into like mountains, you know what I'm talking about. And that's kind of what happens in the ocean when you get major tsunamis. And I believe our last major tsunami, in fact, was that Taiwan, the earthquake that caused the Taiwan tsunami that killed over 200,000 people, probably much higher number based on their record keeping. I believe it was at the time was not great, so there were people that were washed away in the ocean that weren't accounted for, people that weren't documented on paper, all that type of thing. But let's see if anything's changed as far as who felt this. Still 8 on this specific chart. And then where's that other earthquake chart I used? This one here. In fact, I'll refresh this as well. And they're calling it the depth 10 kilometers. So it is, yeah, it's 6 miles in depth. And that's going from the bottom of the ocean. So they don't count, I don't believe they count the ocean itself as the depth. So it's from the surface or the ground floor of the ocean down is where the epicenter took place. So 6 miles from the seafloor down. But this is where tsunamis come from, guys. It's either that or major landslides caused by earthquakes that fall into the ocean. If that's big enough, it'll cause a tsunami. A big iceberg or a melting ice, up in Alaska or geez Louise, what am I thinking of? The South Pole, whatever, a big chunk of ice falls into the water, it could possibly cause a tsunami. We've seen things like that. But right now they're showing that the threat is not there. So let me see what's going on in the chat. DED, you did not have to do that, my friend, but thank you so much, man. I bet you missed these. Oh, man, you're a funny kid. I like you, though, buddy. You're a good kid. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to check out the chat now. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to grab my tablet. I have you guys here. My tablet's in a bag right now, so you're going to hear me ruffling through a bag. And I'm going to pull the tablet out so I can read these comments while we're talking here. Caroline, what were you doing before? Tell everybody what you were doing before. All right, we got the tablet out. So we're going to be able to do some double research on this one. Oh, what was that comment there? At a marathon? No. New tornado warning in Monroe County, Lawrence County, and Jackson County. Yes, I'm actually going to be covering that soon. That was what I was going to be covering until this happened. So, and don't get me wrong, guys. The right channels are getting the people they deserve about this earthquake. I'm reporting it because, I report on earthquakes. I know I'm not an expert on this stuff, but when it comes to geography and things like that, I mean, I semi know what I'm talking about, but we all know where to go when something like this happens. And yeah, that goes without saying. But this is scary stuff, guys, because it goes along with. In fact, I could find one of these articles for us. New Zealand. I mean, they've been talking about this for a long time, and I've always wanted to find out why. So I guess I'm going to try to do that now. Possible tsunami threat to New Zealand after 7.4 magnitude earthquake. New Zealand Herald. Tsunami warning 4 minutes ago. So they're still calling the warning as of 4 minutes ago. Stuff.co.New Zealand News. Tsunami warning for New Zealand. So there still is a warning. Apparently, this is 1 minute ago. To repeat, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said the only coast they believed was at risk from hazardous tsunami waves was the Kermadec Islands, which is over 600 miles away from the mainland of New Zealand. Kermadec Islands. Let's find out where those are exactly, because I'm not positive. Okay, so yeah, it's in that exact spot we were just looking. Besides here, let me get this line thing out of the way. All right, so they said the threat would have been to this area, but not here, which is I don't understand that really. I don't understand why this would be the only place that would get the threat. Maybe it's the way the quake. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. That's very odd that they would only have the warning for the islands above where the earthquake was. In fact, we'll save this location and we'll punch in the coords again to the actual earthquake. Actually, I'm going to have to lose that anyway. So, alright, so we got this mark. We know where this area is. And then here's the epicenter of where the earthquake was. So they're mentioning the Kermadec Islands, but they're not. I guess this is a chain of islands. That's why. There we go. That makes sense to me now. So yeah, obviously the wave would go in all directions, and these would be the first places to be hit if there was. And we got an airport here, so clearly this is a populated area. You can check this out a little bit and just see it would be this part of the island that would have been hit or could be hit. We're still not sure, I guess, unless they have officially canceled the tsunami warning, which I hope they have. Just getting on the tablet now so I can read comments at the same time. Oof. But yeah, guys, you never want to see stuff like this. This is not, it's not good because there's been a lot of big quakes in this area lately. And like I said, I mean, I've mentioned, you can go back in videos with any earthquake I've covered in this area. And I've mentioned the New Zealand topic and them expecting a tsunami. So it might be just scientific data that people are using to come to the conclusion that something bad is going to happen in that area. And it's official 7.2. So some are saying 7.2, some are saying 7.4. We always have that issue when quakes get up to this type of level or this type of magnitude. We had that rare case where we had the quake that was actually upgraded to an 8.0 from a 7.5, I believe. And that was what? Was that near Fiji, I believe? Or was that was the Chile quake, I believe, over here, if I'm not mistaken. Which I probably am. I make a lot of mistakes. But I don't mind. I don't mind making mistakes. That's why I have a good sub base to help me with my mistakes. DD weather, of course, man. Take your time. We're here. New tornado warning in Morgan County. Yeah, perfect stormy night would be great. I'm gonna refresh this real quick. All right, so the data is staying the same as of right now. This buoy will go off until this time tomorrow, so you will see this buoy pulsing until about 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Eastern Standard Time. They go off for 24 hours once they are set off. 7.2, 9 people. We'll refresh this and see if it's changed at all. All right, so right now, the threat has been lifted. It's saying non-U.S. or Canada Pacific threat, so it's not a threat to the U.S. or Canada in any way. But that doesn't make it not important. This is very important because a quake at this depth just means that there's going to be more. I mean, if there was no tsunami produced from this quake, that is a very lucky thing. But this area is like loose change. It's like walking on pebbles. It's just it's broken up. It's mangled ground, and when you have these earthquakes, they just break up the ground even more. And it's just a matter of time before one of these areas is going to get slammed with a tsunami. And it's not. It stinks to say, but it's just reality. It's gonna happen one way or another, and it's just a matter of when. And it seems like today was almost that day. Now we have to keep in mind, guys, aftershocks. We remember after that big quake, that big random quake in was it Chile or was it up here? I believe it was up here more north. Yes, it was north. I'm losing my mind these days, guys. But yeah, that quake that we were talking about, they upgraded to an 8.0, was up in this area, and they were talking about tsunami this, tsunami that, but you don't really get tsunamis unless these things take place in the water or there's a major landslide. So if you get major earthquakes on land, chances are you will not see a tsunami. But again, I had never seen that purple icon before. This one in particular here, the threat of a tsunami. Maybe you guys have seen them and they are just quakes I've missed in the past, but I've never seen that before. So that was a new thing for me, for sure. Now I'll get back to the actual earthquake page here. Which one was it? I want to get back to, we'll go here. This one. This is what I wanted to see. So we have this set over the last 7 days. 1 day, all magnitudes. So in the last 24 hours, this is what has happened along this fault line here. We have 4.7. And then a little bit to the southwest was a 4.8 south of the Fiji Islands. We had a 6.1 in Tonga. That was today. That was earlier today. I was going to report on this, but I was going to get the weather report done first. And then, boom, we had this guy. So this may not be, this event may not be over, being that we had a major 6.1. 6.1 is a very big earthquake, 10 kilometers in depth. That's the lowest reading this site goes to. So that alone certainly has something to do with this quake, being that, I mean, just look at the time difference. 21:56 UTC and then 22:55 UTC. It was less than an hour later that this took place. So within, possibly an hour, we could see another major quake right next to New Zealand. So this may be an ongoing situation that we're going to be seeing and dealing with. So the danger's there, and it's unfortunate for these people, because when you're, I mean, New Zealand's not exactly a small island, but it's not big either. I mean, you compare it to, sorry, that's the mouse acting up again. We got to do some equipment upgrading here. I mean, you compare Hawaii to New Zealand. Obviously, New Zealand is much, much bigger than Hawaii, but still, on a global scale, New Zealand is not really a big place. So any major earthquake as close as this one is going to be an issue for these people, including Australia. I mean, this wave would also move to the west and hit the west coast of Australia. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, it would go in all directions. All right, Alright, for some reason this YouTube thing isn't opening up, but I'm going to open up anyway. YouTube.com, and here we are. And I have a chat, finally. Alright, good. Alright, I'm going to check the chat here one more time. There we go. Okay, the spider's dead. Oh, great. That was you had to go kill a spider. Yeah, what? That was all over a spider? We're going to try to stay on topic here. But all right, guys, as far as the live stream goes, I think I've brought you all the information we need for right now. Like I said, the channels that really are meant to forecast and talk about earthquakes, they're all up and talking about this. They could probably offer you a lot better information than I'm giving you right now. I'm giving you the basics right now, the fact that the earthquake happened, that there was a threat at one point. We saw it on the video ourselves. And today alone, we've had 2 major earthquakes along the same fault line leading right through the heart of New Zealand. Basically, the fault line runs right in between the North Island of New Zealand and the South Island, and then over top, basically, of the South Island. So there's no telling when another quake could happen, but we could see another quake within the hour along this area. And that would just not be good. The closer they get, the more damage it's going to do. And I'm very surprised that this 7.2, as shallow as it was, did not cause a tsunami. Which is not that I'm surprised it didn't. I'm glad it didn't, but I'm surprised. Because these are the sizes that cause them. This is what you have to hit. Like 6s and things like that they really won't cause tsunamis. They may give you a 2 or 3 meter tsunami, something along those lines. But when we're talking big waves, like a 10 meter tsunami or a 7 meter tsunami, that's like, that's legit stuff. That is not something that you want to deal with. That's what we're talking about that happened in Taiwan that took the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. And it can happen just like that, out of nowhere, like it did today. And I was speaking with somebody about the 6.1 earlier by Tonga, and we were talking about that exact situation, how just these things happen out of nowhere. I mean, you could do a bit of forecasting as far as following the pressure over a day, over a week, things like that. Again, you know what channels to go to for that information. I don't even want to say the name because I don't, I got to respect the guy and let him do his thing. But let's just check the latest data, and then I'm going to cut this one. I'll get you guys a weather report. So as of right now, this moment, they're calling it a 7.2. It was an initial 7.4 earthquake at 6 miles in depth is what they said. It is now showing 34.4 kilometers. But then you go to other websites and you hit refresh, and it's showing a kilometer, the depth being at 10. So there's a little bit of discrepancy there of what the depth of the earthquake was. See how this says 34 kilometers, this website is saying 10 kilometers. So which is it? Because it's certainly not 24 kilometers of water before the bottom of the ocean, that's for sure. The one in Tonga was 20 kilometers in depth, and on this site, if we go to the biggest earthquakes for today, one day, and then we'll switch to largest mag first, the 6.1. Yeah, see, on this one it says it was 10 kilometers, which means it was either 10 kilometers or below in depth. And then on other websites such as this one, it's showing 20. So there is discrepancy among these sites. We got to be aware of that stuff when we're putting information out. That's why I usually bring up both of these when I'm doing earthquake videos, especially major earthquake videos. There's always a lot of discrepancy on how deep it was, where the actual epicenter was, and it takes them some time to actually figure that out because the sensors give a certain amount of data, and then the data needs to be assessed. It's not all just done by computers. There's still the human element that is involved in this. So I believe that is why now they're calling it a 7.2 rather than a 7.4. Obviously, when it first happened, it said 7.4, so you're going to see a lot of tweets saying 7.4. You're going to see tweets saying 7.6. And now I just hit refresh on this to see what the latest is. I spelled tsunami wrong. Yes, I spell a lot of things wrong, guys, and I apologize for that, and I fix it. I do my due diligence after the fact. Update. Civil Defense now says there is no tsunami threat to New Zealand following the Kermadec Islands region earthquake. That is a good thing, guys. No tsunami threat right now, but what's going to happen an hour from now, 2 hours from now, tomorrow? So your guess is as good as mine at the moment. All right, and we're going to cut this feed now. I'm glad you guys jumped in. I really appreciate everyone that comes to this channel and watches and supports us. We appreciate all of it. So, yeah, Few is right. The human element of powering on the computer. Yeah, well, true, in a way. Yeah, Mary Greeley is very she does a lot of the Yellowstone and the Upper West earthquake coverages. And then, yes, of course, Dutch does world, global forecasts on a daily basis. So, of course, they are on top of this as well. Much bigger channels than mine, so I'm sure they're killing it right now with this going on. All right, so that's good. The tsunami warning has been lifted, but nonetheless, guys, this is a 7.2 earthquake, 1 hour after a 6.1 in Tonga, about 500 miles away from each other, about an hour apart. So again, really quick before I cut this off, this was at 21:56. So basically, it wasn't even an hour later. So 21:56:09 UTC. And then this one was 22:55. So it was an hour. It was an hour and 1 minute later that this took place after the 6.1 in Tonga. So basically an hour from now, if we see another earthquake, oh man, that would be not good at all in any way, shape, or form. But again, guys, thank you so much for jumping on here. I'm going to get that weather update ready for you and more than likely a live stream. Cynthia Graves, thank you so much. I just noticed that. Really, really appreciate it. You guys are great. Galactic Nomads, how are you? Great video put out on their channel as well. I recommend you go see it. In fact, I'll link it in the description of this video once I end it. Great people. Just awesome. Yes, I agree, Mariah, very much. AZ Ghost Answer, thank you so much, man. I do what I can. I do what I can, man. I know I'm not the best when it comes to getting online and sticking to the topics. I trail off a lot. I can talk for hours. You can ask Type X that. I can just go off on anything for hours and hours and hours. And we were talking about one topic, and then the next thing you know, we're in a whole other dimension. That's just how I am. But before that happens, I'm going to end this video now and start working on a weather video for you guys. If anything happens associated with this situation, I will certainly bring it to you. Type X and True Helper, thank you so much for jumping on here to help out. And that's what I got for you guys. 7.2 quake just north of New Zealand. We got to keep an eye on New Zealand. They're expecting a tsunami, and it's the information is leading us to believe that that is something that may just happen in the near future. So prayers to you all in New Zealand, and especially Fiji and New Caledonia and the surrounding areas and the islands above. And with that said, guys, I'm going to cut this off. So have a great day, and I will be back shortly. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.